Alright. We going live.
I just sent them to your Gmail though, for future reference, I guess.
So, what's up, YouTube? Yeah, it's your boy Young Lion. Back in here again. We doing this exploration, I would say, into colloidal silver and just other metals and things like that, whatever. So we're going to just explore this thing right here. So I'm gonna just jump out and I'm just gonna kind of go through a couple of little interviews and stuff like that, and we can kind of see where this discussion has been going and how long it's been going. So let me go ahead and share this video over here. And so now we're going to go into, I'm sorry. Let's go, here we go.
Season is winding down. The CDC is now warning of a second wave of the flu B virus. So if you've got the flu this year, or maybe you suffer from chronic colds, silver might be the answer to getting healthy. Some people swear by the benefits of this method. I know Preston's a little skeptical. They use colloidal silver to prevent or treat sickness by boosting their immune system. It's a liquid solution with microscopic silver particles in it. It's mainly administered with an eyedropper. So I spoke with Dr. Ed Lamadrid, who says it can wipe out just about anything that makes us sick.
It's used primarily as an antimicrobial. So it tends to kill basically everything, bacteria, viruses, and fungus.
Sounds pretty great, right? But Dr. Lamadrid says it might be too good to be true. In fact, the FDA says there is no benefit to taking oral silver. He even says it can be dangerous, causing irreversible damage.
A toxic dose or taking silver for a long period of time can cause a condition called argyria, which is where the skin will start to turn blue. And that's an irreversible condition. The problem is that there's not enough studying done about what silver does to the healthy cells in our body. It's great that it can kill bacteria and virus, but what does it do to like our liver cells, our stomach cells?
The doc says he does not recommend it and says there are other alternative therapies that are more proven to work. He says it might work as a topical solution to treat maybe a skin condition or a wound. Otherwise, he says it is just too risky.
So don't do it.
So don't do it.
Okay. I'm Jeff Bishop. I'm the
All right, so that is one. That was a interesting little video smoke. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one you sent me. One of the ones you sent me. Yeah.
Okay. All right, then you'll have this one, which is, I guess, recently. Let's kind of get one that for this kind of pro. So that was kind of against. So let's listen to one that's kind of pro. Oh, okay. No. Here we go. Let's start off with this right here, the little milk test. I don't know if you've seen it.
Okay, it's Wednesday morning. This is the 4th day that we've put milk in glasses and let it sit. Now this milk will have nothing in it. And this milk will have a silver dollar in the bottom. An old silver dollar, real silver. And this milk we poured colloidal silver just a small portion in the glass before we pour the milk into it. And this has been the 4th day again. So this is the milk that has nothing in it, no silver dollar or anything, and it's really getting yucky. It's almost solid, if you can see that. Let me get a spoon real quick so you can actually see what a yuck it is. This is the milk with nothing in it, right here. Yep, you see that? It's like yogurt. Isn't that cool? That splattered out on my hand. That's not cool. All right, that was there. That's the yogurt. That has nothing in it. And keep this thing scientific. We'll use clean spoons there across it. Here's the milk that has the silver dollar, the real 1920 some silver dollar. It's a real McCoy. This is the milk that has that. And you can see that is also like yogurt. This is pretty yucky. It actually is a little bit
it's not as bad as
not as thick as that, but it's still pretty thick. So here's the one that has the colloidal silver in it. The experiment to see which milk stayed, freshest the longest. This one's the milk with colloidal silver. This is unreal. Look at that.
Oh my word.
Look at that. That is too cool.
Oh my goodness.
I cannot even believe this myself. My son did the thing. He called up, wanted us to do the experiment with
Tell about the history of the blue.
with the stuff. But isn't that cool?
That's pretty crazy though, man. Yeah, that that little thing, it just kind of keeps bacteria from forming. So let's go ahead and let's watch about the blue. Let's go looking at the blue.
That was a great experiment, though. Before you move on, that was a great experiment. I'm gonna do that with my little girl.
Yeah, I mean the experiment always is the silver dollar. You would always do the silver dollar, and but it's like I think he kind of took the silver dollar experiment a little further.
Yeah, that was a great way to. You don't even have. I mean, it's science. It's doing it. It's happening itself. You're not doing anything. You're just proving. You just prove.
It keeps bacteria. It keeps the bacteria.
Bacteria, right?
So let's go ahead and let's listen. So the one condition that you can get when you have this is, I think it's called agaria. It's like when you could turn blue. So this is the guy that always pops up if you ever are searching the web looking for colloidal silver. This is the guy that will pop up all of the time. He put it on the skin so much you turned itself blue. So, but let's go ahead and check out a little bit of this right here, man. This is
Musician's the best way to learn, practice, and master the guitar. Just grab your acoustic or electric and play along.
He was on Oprah.
Don't adjust your TV set. This man's skin really is blue. He used to look like this, a good-looking young man with a shock of red hair. But after using a home remedy, Paul Carson looks like this.
Were you around my shade before?
Yeah, probably a little lighter.
So how did this happen? It all started when Paul was looking for a cure for flaky skin. Doing his own research, he read about drinking a solution of silver in water. At first, things were fine, but then Paul started rubbing it onto his skin, and it started turning blue.
When did you first realize that you were blue?
A friend that hadn't seen me in a while came by and asked me what I'd done to myself.
We compared our arms. Paul's used to be fairer than mine. Now it's a dull gray blue.
All right, that's enough of that right there, man. That's some money. But this is a guy, I mean, I think this is anything that you do, man, it's an extreme to it. But
you should have played the whole video so people could see exactly what he did. So people could hear what he was doing. How he was doing it. Yeah, you probably should play the whole thing.
Yeah, man. We ain't gonna get into we ain't gonna play the whole thing. We gonna get too many copyright things or whatever going on. Go through the Inside Edition. Appreciate the little short, that's Inside Edition's YouTube thing. What's up? Yeah, so it's a lot of ones. Okay, so you have some of the people right now that are talking about the what you call it. Here we go. So this is them talking about it recently on Inside Today, whatever. Let's listen to how they kind of brush through it. Different ones. Okay, let's listen. Oh, more. This is when they want you to.
Coronavirus making headlines daily.
Some schools are now closing at the first hint of possible exposures.
We're looking at declines across the board.
As people search for answers, the criminals come out. The FBI recently releasing a warning about this fake World Health Organization flyer making the rounds. Now, the Food and Drug Administration and Federal Trade Commission warning vendors for selling fraudulent COVID-19 products that pose significant risks to patient health and violate federal law.
This influenza.
Among those warned, televangelist Jim Baker, who sold this silver solution on his show.
You're saying
this is the televangelist. This is what the white church has been talking about for a minute. This is something that they've been selling for a long time. And at this moment is when they're going to call them for it being a scam. You understand that? That's kind of weird, don't you think? But at this moment, that's when they...
Like Martin said, ain't that the pot calling the kittle pot?
But let's listen to how he what he was saying is how he was doing it recently. This is him talking recently.
That silver solution would be effective.
Well, let's say it hasn't been tested on this strain of the coronavirus, but it's been tested on other strains of the coronavirus and has been able to eliminate it within 12 hours.
And he's not alone. Others are claiming so-called silver solution or colloidal silver can cure coronavirus. It looks just like water, but for years the FDA has been warning not only can this not cure anything, but it can actually damage your health. Baker removed the video after the FDA warning. Fakespot.com is a website that helps find counterfeit products, including these masks on Amazon.com. These are being sold as N95 masks, which can filter out viruses. They certainly don't look like the real thing. How do I know? Because this is a real N95 mask, but you don't have to be an expert. Take a look at these one-star reviews. It appears a number of customers found out the hard way these are probably fakes. And watch out for fundraising campaigns. A search on GoFundMe for coronavirus turns up more than 3,000.
So they kind of just lumped it in, as far as being a colloidal silver. They just kind of lumped it into the other things. But as you can see, this has been something that they have been, and like millions and millions of people have in their house right now and take it on a regular basis. In a different culture than what, but let's look at it with some. The funny thing about it is those people that grow marijuana know about it because you actually use it to feminize the marijuana plant. Did you know that?
Nah, you just told me something. That's some good game. I mean, not that I'm gonna be a grower, so feds don't come. I'm just saying that's some good game for somebody who's legally partaking in the growing of cannabis. I am not legal or legally, so don't come knocking at my door, feds.
Okay. So. Yeah, there were, this was one I thought was interesting.
Have you heard?
What's up?
For the first time ever, you can watch the brand new Trolls World Tour movie.
I know you always have the answers when it comes to keeping ourselves healthy, trying to prevent the illness. And where does it all start?
It starts in the gut, and it is cold and flu season, and we know that gut health is so important. And in one of my books, I've written a chapter that says you're only as healthy as your pipes, and it's true. You're only as healthy as you're absorbing, digesting, and excreting. Yeah. So if you're not doing that properly, your immune system tends to suffer. So. Unfortunately, we as Canadians and we as North Americans, we're eating a lot of sugar and a lot of refined flours. And they say 1 out of every 5 calories we're eating is from added sugars. That promotes yeast. And yeast is the opposite of what we want in our gut. It can suppress immune system function. It can cause weight gain. It causes fatigue. So do a body scan, see how you're feeling. And then there's certain things that we can incorporate in the diet that help squash that yeast, that help get rid of that yeast. So, yeah. So,
very interesting. So what are we using to get rid of the yeast?
So let's start talking about a probiotic first, because probiotics are very important to get yeast out of the body. Now, we have Renew Life's Ultra Flora Critical Care has 50 billion organisms, and people are like 50 billion. I cannot tell you how many bacteria we have in the gut lining, and you want to get good bacteria back in. So the key is to pick one that is high strain, so 50 billion is quite high, and a mixed strain. So you don't want the same strain of bacteria. You want lactobacillus, as you want to mix the strain because it's more effective, and your digestive system will incorporate it a little bit better. So vinegar, which I have here.
I can smell it from here.
You can't. The wonderful foods, Allison, you have to take that out too.
So the more yeast you're going to have in the body, the more...
Bang on. If you do have an overgrowth of yeast, if you're feeling digestion is compromised.
Food court, I've got my bag packed, my cooler bag with the food.
Good. Let's try this check-in. We want to check in with the City Line weight loss challengers and gut health this season. Enjoy that. Huge thanks to Renew Life. Their gut. So you're all going to go home with a bottle of Ultimate Flora Critical Care, and one lucky audience member will win this winter defense pack. It's filled with goodies to help you stay warm and strengthen your gut health this
This is
You can. I like the spray. Hi, this is Dr. Amber Wojtenko with Wojtenko Wellness. I wanted to talk today about silver, colloidal silver. This is fantastic for people to have in their medicine cabinet during flu season. It's great as an antibacterial. It helps kill bacterial infections. So there was a great study in 2014 from the International Forum for Allergies and Rhinology. A great study talking about how it fights off bacterial infections and kills bacteria. It's great for viral. It's an amazing antifungal, really good for ringworm. Works as well for pink eye. Again, I brought up allergies, any sinus issues. I like the spray. This is what I use because you can easily administer it. You can put this, spray it right into your nose. You can spray it to the back of your throat. We suggest this a lot to our patients here at Wojtenko Wellness, especially during flu season, but even allergy season. What else? It is fantastic for scrapes, cuts, abrasions, burns. Here we treat a lot of sprain strains, so we get people who come in with cuts, scrapes, that kind of thing. So it's really good.
Researchers at the University of Johannesburg believe they're
I just want to show that video just to see to show you that there are people that have been using this for years and years and have been suggesting this to people. It's just not necessarily maybe our audience, I would say. But it's just like stock. It's look, it's like stock. I can't give you an advice. I can tell you what I'm doing. It might help you, but I really can't give you no advice on it. Yeah. So and you know how the drug. Realistically, if it was realistically able to, do all of the things that they say, it would destroy the industry. It would destroy the industry, and this is what I'm telling you is, I can probably show you 50 videos similar to this where it gets results, it gets study, it gets results, And then this trial, after they get results, some type of way, I guess they give them a little money and it goes nowhere. You'll never hear about it again. But I just want to show you this anti-cancer treatment dealing with silver, with this same nano silver that people are trying to do. So let's check this one out right here, man.
On a new path when it comes to treating cancer. They've discovered a new family of very promising silver-based anti-cancer drugs that have been successfully tested on rats and human cancer cells in laboratory.
What we have observed in the lab setting and in vitro, these compounds do not affect normal or non-malignant cells to even close to the same extent than it does the cancer cells. What we have tested certainly seems to indicate that this compound can target quite a few different types of cancer. And the last set of data that we published actually shows that these compounds actually influence the mitochondria of the cell, which is particularly important for us because the mitochondria, these so-called powerhouses of the cell, are the ones that are involved in this specific mode of apoptosis.
The compound is being called UJ3, and researchers here believe they've made a breakthrough.
I'm very optimistic. The results look good. We are very happy with them. And we've done the same studies on different compounds. And then we found with this specific one that the results look awesome. And it actually shows you that it does target the mitochondria in the cancer cells.
We still have to dig a little bit further and go ahead with some xenograph tests where we do know that the compound can enter the tumor. We believe that the upscalability of these compounds will be relatively inexpensive to do. And we're hoping that if this happens and we are successful at clinical trials, that this chemotherapeutic drug would be available to South Africa, to Africa, and then to the rest of the world.
If UJ3 becomes a chemotherapy drug in the future with a lower dose and toxicity and less side effects from cancer treatment, this could mean a medical breakthrough for South Africa.
It is really so exciting news, but yes, again to say it's early days. We will have to allow them still a few more years, which will also then depend on finding.
Now you see how this stuff, there's always a few more years. They can pop a vaccine out in 18 months and 12 months, less than that, realistic, because the vaccine is already there. They just testing what they have made in the last, already had.
I mean, when you testing, you really, I guess they would be they would be giving each other a certain deadline for something to work. So if you telling people to quarantine themselves for 2 weeks, I would expect, hey, you would have a vaccine that would get me back to being myself within 14 days. So I'm saying you're probably testing 2,000 to 3,000 people and waiting 2 weeks to see what the results are at a time. You know what I mean? So they probably.
I just think, Dan, dude, there's some, there really is some. I don't know. It's just weird. So now they will slow something like this down. So let's go ahead and
had this before.
Let me go ahead and watch it. Now that's right here. Let me show you this. They were talking about using the nano silver in the Ebola virus. Let me show you how people back out of some stuff in English. Whatever we want to call it, African English, man. But watch this. So this is just them trying to use it. They had some experiments, which I thought that it should have been okay for actually them to try to experiment, I guess, because they're using experimental drugs anyway. That's what they're doing. You don't you don't know what that stuff is going to do as far as Ebola. You don't know what that stuff is going to do. So let's listen to them. It was about to be used, I guess, in the Ebola outbreak last time. And this is, I guess, Takua, somebody, Prime Minister. Let's check out what he had to say and what happened in this experiment. They did not.
Now, one experimental drug that has become a talking point in Nigeria is the nano silver. Last week, the health minister confirmed that the country had taken receipt of the drug and was set to administer it on Ebola patients in Lagos. But the plan was later abandoned amidst report that the drug is a pesticide. We asked the minister why the government chose to abandon that plan, and this is what he told us.
Nano silver was brought to us, and we said, fine, we are not rejecting anything, because if you did, you also cause panic that you see the government is not interested if other governments are going. So we received it, but we put a condition that it must go through the stringent conditions for using experimental drugs, even in epidemics, as outlined in the Nigeria's National Health Research Ethics Code. We have a code already existing. We have a committee managing it. The minister appoints them, but they're independent of the minister, and their job is to advise the minister, and the minister takes their professional and expert advice. So when we brought it to our center here where we manage the patients, we said, hold on, let them go through it. Initially they gave a preliminary no because they wanted more information, and the scientists who supplied to us brought more information. They still went through it and we're not satisfied that it met the minimum requirement.
So basically what he said is he listened to the World Health Organization. And the World Health Organization said, don't do that. Hey, Smoke, you still there? He listened to the World Health Organization.
I was. Hey man, I'm proud of Africa right now, man. Hey, we don't want that. We don't want the shit, bro. We don't want it.
That was when, in this case, I mean, I don't see a reason why they wouldn't have tested. This was the case where they were talking about testing a nano silver on Ebola, and they didn't allow them. They basically, the World Health Organization told them not. I'm just saying this. They test everything. Almost everything gets a test run. If you don't think it's tests going on, if you don't think it's probably 100 vaccine trials going on right now at the same time, and I'm saying trials, I mean they're testing on actual human people. You crazy, man.
Oh no, I definitely believe that they're testing on people.
So that's what I'm saying. When it comes to something like this, they don't even. That's what kind of bothers me when there's something like this. Is go ahead and do the test so that we can prove that it doesn't work. You see what I'm saying? That's why I say that. That's what frustrates me when you have certain things where they won't even allow you to even do the test to even prove. You see what I'm saying?
I get exactly what you're saying. What I'm saying is from an African point of view. Like, look, man, this may very well be good.
This was an African company that came up with it. That's what I'm saying. This was a company African company came up with it. This wasn't the normal outsider coming in from in.
Right. I get you.
Bringing this thing up, that this is an African company that had applied to test using the nano silver, and then they were denied. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, when I'm like I said, I guarantee you.
Oh, so okay. Maybe I heard it wrong because I did miss a couple parts in the video, but. So basically what you're saying is the African company came up with some technology that they felt like they wanted to try. Okay, so they came up with a vaccine that they wanted to try, and they wanted to get tested, and the FDA said no. Okay, I got you. All right. All right, cool. Well, damn Africans. I guess I can be proud in another way. Y'all tried. Y'all tried, man.
They tried, but then he said he listened to the people, the experts, the World Health Organization. Oh yeah. Okay, let me say. And then this is the thing about it is, at the same time, I might play the video a little bit longer because at the same time, he kind of admits that realistically, you can't test until it's an outbreak. You see what I'm saying? So this is the time to prove what your stuff does. This is the only time to prove what you can't test. So if you say that we can't do it, like that's really how it is. I mean, that's so I just think that some things should be allowed to be proven wrong. And I think it's a whole lot of stuff. It's a whole lot of times people shooting drugs into folks and they know it's not going. No way in hell it's going to do what it's supposed to do. I do believe it's trials like that's going on. So I'm just saying, let them. But so let me see my man right here. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like realistically, you can't even. So they will never allow you to even prove. I'm just showing there's so many different people using this for so many different methods. This is a young lady that did a review on it on how it helped her skin, and here we go. This is
crispity, crunchity, peanut buttery. Nobody lays a finger on my Butterfinger.
Hey mamas, it's your Cajun Stork here. Today I'm going to talk to you about 3 natural ways to get rid of a yeast infection during pregnancy. But before I begin, my name is Midwife Kyra and I believe that confidence in birth comes from being prepared. As a midwife, I know exactly how to get you there. Consider subscribing to my channel and joining in today's conversation about natural treatments for yeast infection. So a yeast infection during pregnancy can definitely be a nuisance. And believe it or not, you're actually more prone to it during pregnancy than you are at most other times. And so yeast infection is a very common complaint that I get in my office. And although there are medications that your physician can prescribe during pregnancy for a yeast infection, I want to talk to you about 3 natural ways that I can recommend you treat a yeast infection from home. Before you take my advice, I feel like it's really important to let you guys know that you need to talk to your healthcare provider first. I'm all about you guys commenting and asking for suggestions, but at the end of the day, your care provider is your biggest help to you during your pregnancy. And please don't take my advice on all of this. You need to check in with your healthcare provider first. Now that disclaimer's out the way, let's move on. So the first thing I want to recommend during pregnancy to help you with yeast infection is, believe it or not, coconut oil. So coconut oil is antifungal, antibacterial, and antimicrobial, and it can be used during pregnancy both by mouth and vaginally to help with a yeast infection. You can insert it vaginally during pregnancy, but typically applying it topically can be good enough. And so I recommend to my clients typically in the morning and in the evening we apply coconut oil vaginally to help with a minor yeast infection. So when you're looking to put coconut oil for yeast, you really want to look for an extra virgin, organic and unrefined coconut oil, because this is going to be your best quality to help you with a yeast infection. So the second thing that I would recommend during pregnancy to help with a yeast infection is colloidal silver. Colloidal silver has always been a pretty controversial product to use by mouth, so I'm not recommending that you ingest it during pregnancy, but you can put colloidal silver in a douche that you can do vaginally to help get rid of the yeast infection. And so I recommend Sovereign Silver. It's actually one of my favorite brands, and just so you guys know, this 10 ppm stands for 10 parts per million.
So they've been shooting this stuff and they've been shooting it and they go to.
Shooting it up the wazoo.
Dealing with yeast infections and shit, man.
Hey, listen, man. Listen, women, don't judge her because she's a midwife. She know more about getting pussy than a lot of you. So I think she's an expert.
Getting pussy, nigga? You talking about? You think all midwives are butchers or something? What's up, man? How you think this goes?
I don't know. I mean, hey, she's a midwife for a reason.
Oh, okay, man. Maybe she might she look like she got a man or two. You know what I'm saying? All right. But this is another one that there was, I think, suggesting that I may be wrong. We may just get some health tips because some of this stuff was, I'm just kind of researching. Let's check this one out though, right here. It's one I was.
Have you heard?
What's up?
For the first time ever, you can watch the brand new Trolls World Tour movie.
I know you always have the answers when it comes to keeping ourselves healthy, trying to prevent the illness. And where does it all start?
It starts in the gut,
In the gut.
It is cold and flu season, and we know that gut health is so important. And in
more about her experience with cancer, but I do want to tell you about how she's become a powerful advocate for cancer patients. Beverly is the author of a book for patients with cancer, as well as a book for children who have a loved one dealing with the disease, which she co-wrote with her granddaughter.
All right, man.
Beverly, and there's actually, I think there's an issue over on the table if you want to take a look at it.
Video.
Beverly not only speaks about her experience at events like these across the nation, but has also shared her story in a documentary that she wrote and produced.
That's kind of a few that I want to run through and touch on as far as dealing with this silver thing or whatever, man. I want to, and then so it's a lot of people kind of selling it. There's a lot of stuff going on or whatever as far as, but like I said, there are people that have been making it for a long time. Those that actually are into real growing, when they really are trying to, this is the one plant that I want, that's when they go ahead and feminize and then make everything off of that, or, a lot of this stuff is very, most of the time, a lot of the times when if they make a strand of marijuana, it's that one tree been going forever, whether they've been cloning it, whether it's been nothing but clone after clone after clone of that same tree. That same tree actually exists, and I just so it's something that's just been out there for a long time. So it's a lot of, but I would suggest to, I think there is some benefits to using some of the poorly made silver. I would probably suggest to get, I guess, a better quality, better made, that kind of yourself or whatever. So, man, I just want to kind of touch on this little idea. Let's open out there. It's for everybody. I would just say, just go kind of look and research it yourself and see how many instances it actually pops up in medicine. How many times it's used in so many different eye drops, and it's used in it's used in so many different things that you didn't know, that it's never really even publicized. Who knows? It might actually be the active ingredient for most of the stuff that they do it. So I mean, you really have to kind of look at it and among other things, it makes silver and gold, because when you start realizing that they're doing the same thing with gold, that they are doing the same thing with gold, making water with it and drinking. You'll start realizing why those things are so valuable. Smoke, what do you think?
I think I'm about to Google as much as I can everything that contains colloidal silver, because now I really want to know, how many things already have colloidal silver already in.
Yeah. So it's because when they start making the nano size, and that's the real key to what how they say why they're able to help as much as it can as far as dealing with viruses, because most viruses are nano size. Well, all viruses are nano size, but that's just what they're. But so I mean, like I said, you will see. It's very interesting to see how some things are shut out without even allowing the things to go on. I've seen tests when people were using vitamin C to fight cancers, and they go nowhere. You know, they they have promising results, just as promising, not more promising than half of the drugs that are already out there, and they go nowhere. I just want to understand. And some of the stuff is I don't understand. And then they have drug after drug that come out that kills hundreds of people every year. And, you know, I just don't understand. And most of the time, most of the time, it's a much less lethal way than the stuff that they do. You know, it's acceptable that the drugs can kill you. It's kind of funny, and it's acceptable that drugs can kill you. But this is just, like I said, a kind of open your mind chat that we want to throw out there, man. For everybody that's out there, man. But that's gonna be the end of this little discussion, man. Holla at us. Holla at us.